Hello, it's been far too long. I've been away not 1 week, but 2 weeks in a row now, and I greatly apologize. I was on such a roll of balancing all my channels and getting content going, and then for the past few weeks we've been dealing with a family emergency behind the scenes, and so I just haven't had the spoons or the scheduling time to make it happen to get these videos up on my weekly basis like I've been planning on it. But I have not abandoned the cause. We have not lost the battle. We're still going to be doing these gameplay commentaries. Welcome to Liminal Musings here on Lost Saves. I am Addy. I got a pretty cool comment to respond to that I think sets the tone for the first video returning back, and I'm going to try to get 2 done this week, so we have the next 2 videos scheduled in advance to make up for the lost time and hopefully get back on track. You will notice I sound a little sick at the moment. I woke up with probably a head cold today, so just perfect timing as I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. But got a lovely comment here. I started to make videos with less of a focus on scripting and grinding out content, and you are a part of the inspiration for this with these videos you have been making. Came back to one of these videos to say thank you, as well as to ask a question or state a thought of mine. I find myself wanting to find a word or phrase to accurately describe this kind of video. It's not a podcast, is it? I sit down and just talk about stuff, but it's not a talk show, really. This is... How do you describe the video you're watching now? As an old school YouTuber where this was the standard format for gaming and the most popular videos on the internet for a few years, we just called it a gameplay commentary. It wasn't about the gameplay, it wasn't about the game, but it was a commentary, as in speaking about a subject, a topic, whatever. And the gameplay element of that name just happened to reference the visual medium that you're seeing. These days, though, both of those words carry a lot more meaning and connotations with regards to what the content is. And the word commentary, especially in the gaming space, took on a whole new meaning when you have channels like, I don't even know what the current ones are, but you know, the Leafy is Here kind of channels. Those became quote-unquote commentary channels, and that's a completely different genre of this. This is really interesting to ask me, and I'm sorry that I'm nerding out, because I actually did a full, research paper and presentation in college about the genre of gameplay commentary, the different forms it takes on, and its role in user-generated content and the establishment of non-professional content. I still refer to it as gameplay commentaries because that is just the old school format that it is. But if you want to put it in terms of modern content, modern videos, modern listening, it really is probably just a podcast. It's a short-form podcast in most cases. It's not an hour long or whatever. But a podcast isn't really a quote-unquote talk show. A talk show typically comes with the genre expectations of sometimes comedy involved, but especially having a guest and, show elements. Whereas a podcast is just talking about something, usually audio only, and you just have the video element to play as you watch. And most people with this format typically don't even watch the gameplay. They just listen and do something else and enjoy it. So it's a really interesting question, because in the new media realm, genre is not static. There is no static genre that lasts more than a couple years. Even just the very identification of a YouTube video carries so many different meanings, both based on who you're talking to and the context they bring into it, but also just the time. A YouTube video in the early YouTube days was a lot more DIY, a lot more indie, a lot more scrappy, homemade. Whereas a YouTube video today is actually seen as more professional, a more polished and higher production value. Even though it should still be from that same indie crowd, but because these standards and productions have, improved and raised over the years, and because more and more, formal traditional publishing people have gotten involved in the space, compared to the connotation that comes with something like a TikTok video, YouTube video is now considered something a lot more polished and a lot more professional seeming, a lot more Hollywood than it used to be. It's hard, because I think I think it's really easy for anyone coming into this new, any younger person, Gen Z or whatever, who has a fresh perspective, who doesn't come with all of the baggage of knowing what the internet was and whatever. It is a lot easier to adapt to whatever the current norm is and forget whatever the quote-unquote rules used to be and just roll with it and make cool stuff and probably find a lot easier success. But for the now older hat, I can't believe I'm saying it, given I was recording a video just like this when I was like 15 on the internet and was the new kid on the new trail of new content types back in the day.
I've never had this problem with running the game before. I don't know why it's going so laggy. I guess I just haven't stressed my computer enough. I don't know.
For the now older hat like myself, it's harder because you have all these expectations of what something should be or has been or could be that doesn't necessarily line up with how it's used today. So I super appreciate your comment. I should have, I guess, led with that. Like, this was a wonderful comment to wake up and see today, especially since I haven't been able to focus on the channel much, and especially since that wasn't one of the, like, most popular videos in the series so far. Like, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I do have a lot of stuff coming on this channel that I gotta get to. I had some deadlines for, you know, normal reviews on Evo's Fox at the start of the year, and just, you know, struggling to keep up now that some stuff behind the scenes came up, but things are slowly starting to normalize. But yeah, like, it's something I've struggled with this channel too, with regards to identifying it, because to me, I think it's a lot easier for me to just say, hey, it's a gameplay commentary series, and assume that people know what that means, because I carry with me 17 years of context for this, almost. I guess gameplay commentaries didn't really start up until like 2008, 2009-ish. 2009-ish is probably when they really started up. So, you know, that's 15 years of context for what a YouTube video is, how it's formatted, what a gameplay commentary style video is. That is a long time. That is as long, like, that is as many years as I had lived when I started. It's so ridiculous. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm breaking over age at the moment, which is not the relevant subject. But you get what I'm saying. Like, there is so much context and, like, baked in expectations that are self-inflicted, but, you know, that are expected here. So it's really hard to narrow down what people today, without that context, without those expectations, might think of this. And it is fascinating when I get comments that are like, whoa, this is a crazy new format. This is a really great idea. I can't believe no one's done this. When it was like the bare minimum back in the day. But that shows the evolving nature of the content, right? It shows that the formats are always changing, and what's old can be new again when you have enough generations of new YouTubers where they've just never experienced this before. I don't think it's wrong to call it a podcast. And in fact, I have literally set up this series as a YouTube podcast on YouTube because I want it to be a podcast. And when I remember and stay up with it, I keep the audio versions streaming to podcast services as well. I just get behind on that because it's a lower priority and there aren't very many listeners and whatever. But, like, I treat it as a podcast. It's just a short form one. It's not hour-long episodes with, you know, an intro jingle and somebody that talks like a little NPR representative. And today we're going to talk about the politics of blah, 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 and commercial breaks or whatever. Like, it's just, you're just talking. But I think podcast is probably the most relevant current term. And it's not like podcast is a new thing by any stretch. They were old when YouTube started, but I don't know that there's a better description. A podcast with gameplay, a gameplay podcast. But again, nowadays, when you have gameplay involved, there is still some assumption that it's going to be about the game. And at this point, the gameplay is just like filler visuals. You might as well just it be a separate channel. Like you're just listening to something while having the TV muted or something. I don't know. I hope this helped. I'm super glad I could be an inspiration to someone, and I'm so grateful that it has helped you find your way, so to speak. I'm stoked to hear about this, and I look forward to checking out what you want to talk about in your content and whatever. Yeah, this has been super great. I'm gonna wrap this up. I do have more coming, and I have some more polished stuff coming too. I filmed a whole bunch in December and expected to have it up by now. And like I said, things have been weird, but I have some cool ideas, and we're gonna keep it going. I have been streaming off and on Twitch. If you want to go check that out, twitch.tv/eposvox. It often leans more towards the technical side of things from my main channel, but I do some gaming stuff as well. I also just wanted to say thanks for 5,000 subscribers. It means the world to me that this channel is doing surprisingly well this year, and that my balance of having the 3 different channels is actually going to be possible here in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff planned. Join us on the forums, demodisc.zone. We have our Discord, eposvox.gg/discord. Got the Stream Guides website, and I have my own little PeerTube thing, which will be my own kind of YouTube alternative coming soon as well. So stay tuned for that. Super appreciate it. Go check out this video if you want to watch, I don't know, a video that this person commented on about focusing on what you can control instead of stressing out about things you can't. And I already said it. Remember to be kind. Rewind. I did just get my last Japanese Digimon World game in from overseas that I'm super stoked to add to my collection. We'll have some videos on that soon.